I'm Kara Kerwin, and I lead the external affairs work of the Center for Education Reform. My own work here began as an intern in the year 2000, and so I recognize how critical it is that to do the work of education reformers, one must truly know something about history. I'm excited to be on the ground floor of developing EdReform U, which will harness the collective knowledge and experience of our network of education reform leaders to train a new generation of reformers. Education pioneer Deborah McGriff has said, "As education reformers, we are often bombarded with negative voices. Each and every day we hear, we can't afford it, we've never done it before, we're not ready for it, it's not our responsibility, we're doing fine without it." And many reformer wannabes are willing to take the first step, but only a very few can hang tough, can go the extra mile, can stay the course, can be resilient, and face challenges head-on with the tenacity of a bulldog. The EdReform University Library contains 20 years of history and experience, over 15,000 resources, and most importantly, lessons from the front delivered from our nation's leading education reform pioneers. At EdReform U, you'll meet visionaries like former U.S. Secretaries of Education Rod Page and Bill Bennett, Howard Fuller, who challenged us 2 decades ago to change the complexion of the room, a formative speech that has forever changed the mix of who leads reform and how it is led. You'll learn firsthand how the late Fannie Lewis, a welfare recipient turned politician, became one of Cleveland's most outspoken council members fighting for school choice. She fought the law all the way to the Supreme Court and won. And how parent power truly exists when frustrated moms like Lee Vukmir can start a standards revolution in the Midwest and go on to become one of the Badger State's distinguished state senators today. You'll learn how her grassroots savvy helped Bobby McDonald open one of the first charter schools in Baltimore. At EdReform U, you'll engage with determined reform leaders like California's Yvonne Chan and Steve Barr, the Big Apple's Deborah Kenney and Eva Moskowitz, Philadelphia's Janine Yas, and Milwaukee's Terry Brown. You'll hear from Tom Crosby, who opened the first school in New Orleans just weeks after Hurricane Katrina and forever changed the educational delivery in the Big Easy. EdReform U features the work of education entrepreneurs like Chris Whittle, John Fisher and Barbara Dreyer, Mike Moe, and Steve Klinsky. You'll learn why the great Giselle Huff likens our nation's resistance to online learning as seeking diapers for horses when Henry Ford was just around the corner. EdReform U is jam-packed with lessons from state and local lawmakers who fought the hard battles and won, at much risk to their political capital, like Joel Klein, Ralph Arza, John Legg, and Jane Cunningham. And of course, lessons from the late Lou Salmon, a great scholar and advocate who spearheaded the early battles to bring us sound advancement in performance pay policies for teachers. Our network of state, local, and national policymakers, dedicated parents, full-time activists, and reform-minded teachers and administrators who have decades of experience are continuing to collaborate to implement groundbreaking education initiatives and overcome obstacles to common-sense innovative reform. They epitomize Thomas Edison's declaration that it's 99% perspiration and 1% inspiration. EdReform U is for the EdReformers who are stuck on education reform for life, or those who want to be. So join us and make history work for you. Start your higher education and reform right here so that you too can become part of making education reform history.